Are we good?
It'll be assigned to you, but if you
That's okay. I'll just make sure.
that should be fine. Let me see.
This is working. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. نحمده حمد الشاكرين له على نعمائه والصابرين على بلوائه والراضين دوما بحكمه وقضائه. وصلي وسلم على سيد الخلق أجمعين سيدنا محمد عليه أفضل الصلاة والتسليم. أما بعد. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless this gathering. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our ibadah, our siyam, our qiyam, our salawat. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless this community. Ameen. Inshallah, as promised yesterday, we will continue to the same topic we started yesterday, which is the questions about the zakat. So what I'll do now, maybe speak for 7 to 8 minutes, kind of give you a quick summary of what is zakah, who is eligible to pay zakah, how much you should pay, and then maybe we'll leave the second half for a few questions, inshallah. And the question has to be brief so we can hopefully, or inshallah, answer as many as we can. So zakah is an amount of money that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or part of your that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allocated for the one who deserve this zakat, the eligible ones for the zakat. And it's a fard, it's an obligation on every Muslim that you have to give this zakat. It's not optional, it's an obligation. It's one of the 5 pillars of our deen, of Islam. And so, not paying zakat is like saying, I don't want to pray. Saying like, I don't want to fast the month of Ramadan, right? So you can't say, I cannot, or I do not want to pay zakat. So what are the conditions that obligates the zakat? First, that you have to own this wealth. And when I say wealth, I don't mean money and cash. It's money, cash, gold, diamond, any kind of wealth, property, land, house, depending whether it's a house you live in or the house you rent or the house you are offering for sale. And this wealth is eligible for to grow as part of an investment. That this wealth has to reach what we call an nisab. A nisab means that it's an amount of money or wealth that would be eligible to pay zakat on. And we said yesterday it's equivalent, if we talk about gold, for example, it's equivalent to 85 grams of gold. And the gram is about $60. So on average, $4,000 to $5,000. You can always look at the exact number. But if you have $4,000 to $5,000 or equivalent in wealth, whether it's gold, diamond, any kind of wealth, then you have to pay zakat on that. Yes, $4,000 to $5,000. And so the condition is that this money has to what we call hal alayhi al-hawl, which means it has been 1 year old in your position. So let's say if suddenly you have $5,000 you just got from yesterday, you don't pay zakat on that, right? But you have to have that money for 1 full year to be eligible for zakat. Yes, Hijri year. Now, if you want to pay, let's say every Ramadan or every other Hijri month, you pay 2.5%. If you want to say, I'm going to pay my zakah with the tax time, which is April, or I want to pay in October, it's up to you. But then the number is not 2.5, it's slightly higher. It's 2.57 or so. I'll give you the exact number in a minute, inshallah. You give zakah on the fruit or the agricultural products. If you have animals, sheep, goat, cows, camels, you have to give zakah. If you sell any kind of property, land, cars, and so on and so forth, it's part of your business, then you have to pay zakah on that. If you produce minerals, if you're involved in oil, for example, or the mining of any kind of minerals, then you have to pay zakah on that. And as we said, the wealth has to be 1 year old for it to be eligible for zakah. Who should receive the zakah? Who is the zakah should be paid for? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defined this clearly in the Quran. إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم وفي الرقاب والغارمين وفي سبيل الله وابن السبيل فريضة من الله والله عليم حكيم. I believe those are seven types of ways that you can distribute the zakah. It's for the faqir, right? So it's for the fuqara. That's okay, brother Bashir, it's fine. So it's for the faqir. Al faqir is the one who does not have any, doesn't have the food for the day. Al miskin is the one who has some, but really not enough maybe for the rest of the day or the rest of the week. It doesn't have enough. Al-amilin alayha, those who work at collecting the zakat, they are eligible to, let's say, be paid a salary from that. وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةُ قُلُوبُهُم, those who are, they want to become Muslims, but they haven't really made up their mind, they have this soft heart towards Islam, maybe you can give them some of this zakat to encourage them to announce and declare their Islam. وفي الرقاب, at the time of slavery, alhamdulillah, we don't have that. We're the slaves, you can use that money to free to free the slaves. والغارمين, someone that could be a relative, could be a community member who has a lot of debt and he hasn't been able to pay it, then you can give them part of this account to pay. وفي سبيل الله. سبيل الله, many scholars say it is, in a form of when we have, say, jihad, and we have a Muslim army going into different parts of the world in a form of, battles, then you can use it to equip the army. We don't have that today. So other scholars say, fi sabilillah, anything that's used for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything that's used to spread Islam. It could be building a masjid, it could be building an Islamic school, it could be an organization that tries to distribute, let's say, and print Quran and distribute it to da'wah in general. That's for fi sabilillah. What is sabil? Someone who, maybe you meet here, someone was traveling, coming from Pakistan or from Canada and lost his wallet and everything he has, and he's basically stuck. You can give them from this zakah until they go back to their normal. So this is kind of the people who can receive the zakah. Now, do you have to distribute it to all these people? Do you have to say, okay, I'm going to divide my zakah into 7 parts and give each one of them a part? No. You can give all your zakah to the poor, or you can give it all for fi sabilillah, or you can distribute it, to 3 of them or 4 of them, or all of them. It's up to you. As we said, how do we calculate the zakat? It's equivalent to the nisab, the amount that's eligible for the zakat. It's about equivalent to 85 grams of gold, which is about $4,000 to $5,000 depending on the price of gold today. Now, just in time, like I said, if you pay zakat every year during the Hijri year, so let's say every Ramadan, then you pay 2.5% of that money or that wealth that has turned 1 year old. If you want to pay according to the solar year, let's say I want to pay in December or February or April, then you pay 2.5775, slightly higher because the solar year is slightly longer than the calendar year, more days indeed. You have to pay the zakat when it's time for zakat. Zakat does not, you don't lose, or you're not free from not paying zakat that you should have paid in the previous years. It's not that because you didn't pay in the past 5 years, then okay, I'm going to start from today and forget before. No, you will be accounted for those past years. Um, who should get the zakat? It's the seven people we've talked about, the seven types or categories. Now, are you allowed to give zakat to your parents? No, because you are supposed to spend on them. Are you allowed to give the zakat to your grandparents? No. Are you allowed to give zakat to your children, boys or girls, sons or daughters? No, because those are your responsibility. Are you allowed to give zakat to your wife? No, because you're responsible for her. Let's say you don't have enough money, you don't have a job, your wife has to pay zakat. Can she pay zakat for you? Yes, she can pay zakat for you. Zakat, you can give it to your brothers and sisters, even though it's not nice to give them from your free money, my real money. You can give it to your aunts and uncles. You can give it to the rest of your relatives and community members. Now, in view of time, a couple of points. A lot of us have 401ks and IRA accounts. Those you don't have to pay zakat on them because you don't have access to that money. Anything that you have access to right now, and I'm giving you not my opinion, the general opinion of many scholars. There are different schools of thoughts and different opinions, but I give you my understanding to what the majority say. Um, for example, land. Many of us buy a land back in our home country. So when I retire, I want to go back and live, there. You don't have to pay zakat on that land. If you bought a land but you don't think you're going to use it in the future, you're just going to sell it when the price goes up. You don't have to pay on it every year. You pay zakat only when you sell it once. We have 3 minutes. I will leave it to questions, and if I can answer them, I will do my best, inshallah.
First question.
First question.
What about if you bought a house in your home country, you pay on it too?
No, again, it's what your intentions are. What applies to the house applies to the land. If the house is, I'm thinking one day, inshallah, I'll go and live in that house, you don't have to pay zakat. Your house here, the one you live in, your car that you drive, you don't pay zakat. But if you are a car dealer who has, many cars, just buys and sells, you have to pay zakat on the value of those cars. If you have a store, you have groceries in the store, you have to pay zakat on the groceries in that store, the inventory. But if you have a factory, let's say it has machines, you don't pay on the capex, you don't pay on the machines in that factory, you pay on the profit of the products, but you also pay on the inventory that makes that factory run. Any questions?
Second question.
Yes, please.
You got X amount of money, and that day, just before you go for your zakat, you got Y amount, another amount. So I add the two and then count the 2.5.
Well, yes. So basically, think of it like two snapshots in time.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, the question is, let's say you have $10,000 in your bank account just a week before paying the zakat, and a day before, you got another $5,000. Do you add the 5 to the 10? The answer is yes, but you don't pay zakat on that amount. Meaning, let's say last year I had $10,000 total wealth, whatever that is. Let's say cash. Okay. Now comes this year, same time. Let's say April 1st. So April 1st last year I had $10,000. This year I had $15,000. What do I pay zakat on? 10,000, right? Let's say April last year I had 10,000, and this year I have 100,000. April 1st, how much zakat I pay? What I should pay? The 10,000, right? So irrespective, so it's like two snapshots in time. It's the amount that has become 1 year old, irrespective of this one. Now, this amount that become 100,000 next year, if you still have 100,000, you pay on that 100,000. But let's say the 100,000 went down to 50,000. What do you pay on? 50,000. Exactly. It's whatever every snapshot in time you pay on that what has been 1 year old. Yes, brother Matul. Fast.
If you have the $10,000, for example, and right before the Ramadan or before the time of zakat, you spend 10,000 as an investment that you have to pay, and that is a investment on land or investment on.
Yes, if it's an investment, and that money basically, you own, yes, you have to pay it. Yes.
How about the investment land that you have for years?
If you have an investment plan, as we say, if the intention is for selling it, back in, every now and then, like you're trading in land, you have to sell on the value, you have to pay zakat on the value of this land. But if this land you bought it, let's say, in Houston, and you're not a land business trader, let's say, and you bought this land, but you just want to sell it when the price goes up. Many scholars say you don't have to pay money on that land, or it's account on that land only when you sell it once. One question back there.
Yeah, real quick. Let's say you want to give zakat overseas and you're visiting next month. Can you take out the zakat right now and it's still counting during this time?
Yes, absolutely.
And can you give it overseas next month?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. As long as you say it's out of my wealth today and I'm going to distribute it when I get there, you can. Yes. Allah A'lam.
If you lend somebody money, but he's not paying back, you pay money back.
If you think that money is definitely not coming back, then you don't pay that zakat on that money. That's it. If it's coming back and you believe it's coming back, then you have to pay zakat.
When you get it back or
No, because it's part of your questions. Quickly, sorry, brother. If you're taking the money and the money stays in, let's say, in your account, and it's been 1 year old, yeah, you have to pay zakat on it. Well, last question, and then we'll start the salah, inshallah.
If you have 1,000, then midway goes down to 50. By the end of the year, it goes back to 100,000.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's two snapshots in time. Let's say, as we said, today you have 10,000, and throughout the year it went down to 2,000, then became 100,000, then 5,000, and then the next year you have 20,000. You pay only on the 10,000. But if the number goes to 5,000, you pay only on the 5,000. Yeah. جزاكم الله خير. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. More and more? Yeah, we can tell them everything continue tomorrow, inshallah. If you like this topic, and we'd like to continue tomorrow, please raise your hand. We can continue with the same topic tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, inshallah. We'll continue tomorrow, inshallah.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Please make a straight line from the games door. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين يا أيها الذين آمنوا هل أدلكم على تجارة تنجيكم من عذاب أليم تؤمنون بالله ورسوله وتجاهدون في سبيل الله بأموالكم وأنفسكم ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون يغفر لكم ذنوبكم ويدخلكم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار ومساكن طيبة في جنات عدن ذلك الفوز العظيم وأخرى تحبونها نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا توبوا إلى الله توبة نصوحا عسى ربكم أن يكفر عنكم سيئاتكم ويدخلكم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار يوم لا يخزي الله النبي والذين آمنوا معه نورهم يسعى بين أيديهم وبأيمانهم يقولون ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا واغفر لنا إنك على كل شيء قدير. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر استغفر الله استغفر الله من كل ذنب وأتوب إليه. Please complete your sunnah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Somebody dropped the check for $300. It's here. If you know who you are, come forward. It's a donation for the masjid and it's here.
The name is not check.
Yeah, that happens.
I think they should just put it back there.
Yeah. Because I couldn't see where my it's like west facing over there.